it's not like I did the Kimura hard, right? But he must have never drank a glass of milk in his life, because from the halfway point of his forearm all the way up to his shoulder, I could feel it just start to celery crunch. That's the best way I can describe it.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of the Porrada Podcast. As you heard there, my guest for this first one is going to be Marcus Beddor of Mtheory and Minnesota Top Team. He's a black belt and instructor at both schools. Before we get into the full conversation, I've got a few notes, the first of which is big time shout out to Kathy and Paulie Brooks for hosting us for this conversation. If the clarity of that conversation goes down over the course of it, you can blame Paulie's excellent bartending skills. And a big shout out to the podcast's first official sponsor, 5 Watt Coffee, out of Minneapolis and St. Paul. For those of you who have had 5 Watt Coffee, you know that it's far and away the best coffee in the Twin Cities, probably in Minnesota, likely in the world. For those of you who haven't, I've got a deal for you to try it out. Let's have a little contest of who can write the most entertaining and funny review, 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this. Send it to me also, or I'll find it, and the one I decide is the best gets a free gift card to 5 Watt Coffee. And hey, like I mentioned in the introductory episode, this podcast is happening very much in the spirit of jiu-jitsu, in that I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm jumping in anyway. So if there's some rough edits and some funny noises, I'm working on it. Without further ado, my conversation with Marcus Beddor. Those best, nuggets, we call them Easter eggs of all time, the best cameo of all time, where you would, hear it, the voice, or see it, and go, oh, I know who that is an episode of South Park where they had George Clooney on, and he did the dog. So they had George Clooney on, and he just went, arf, arf. That was it. But if you look in the credits,
That's
it's
awesome.
George Clooney. That's hysterical.
Yeah. The best uncredited cameo is, I think it's got to be Ben Stiller in Happy Gilmore, because he's not in the credits for that, right? He's not
for that huge part.
Yeah,
the part
he's got a fair amount of lines. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's not in the credits.
Outside of I'll be waiting for you in the parking lot, and everybody quotes Stiller's lines.
Yeah. My fingers hurt. No, your back's gonna hurt. You just pulled landscaping duty. Yeah,
you said I kind of like whatever, but I'm more of a bourbon guy. I'm like, all right, Paulie, we got a bourbon request.
Ishmael raised me right.
Yeah. Clankin'. Paulie, thanks for hosting, sir.
Porrada.
Or Porrada, if you're an American who took Spanish in high school.
Porrada.
Or Porrada, if you're from the Midwest, like the rest of us.
Do you know the inverse of Porrada? What it is?
No, but it's speaking to my soul already.
So kind of like a modern millennial jiu-jitsu speak. So
I need to know.
There's Porrada, right? And Porrada's go hard.
Yeah, brawl,
day,
whatever.
Right? Yeah. And then there's the inverse, which is Nutella.
Oh, yeah. Forgive me. Yeah. That's, trust me, speaks to my heart and soul more than Porrada actually does.
It was great because I think it was Hamulo or someone was explaining it. And they're like, Nutella is fake chocolate. Yeah. So all these guys are like, oh, Porrada. But they don't, they're soft, or they just don't live up to that lifestyle. So have you thought about an opening to the podcast?
Yep, I'm gonna have an intro episode, and then welcome to the inaugural actual episode, hopefully, unless we screw it up. And then this was kind of what do they call it, a cold start, where you just sort of start talking like Rogan does. Yeah. So each episode will have sort of an intro where I introduce who I talk to and why I talk to them, and say something that's a outright lie about them.
Yeah. I was thinking, I was like, man, if I did a jiu-jitsu theme podcast, right? Or at least in the title, what would be my opening? Right? And I think my opening would only be several different instructors just saying, okay, guys, and then just piece that together, just like Bushesha and Hamila being like, okay, guys, right?
That's actually really good.
Everyone just says it back to back to back.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I say, okay, guys, we're here, right?
I'm here, and then I'm here, and then I'm here.
Yeah. And then I just do it this here.
Was that now?
I just said do it this, and I grab the shoulder, break the close guard.
I never thought that like the Brazilian Portuguese accent sounded intimidating at all until you realize what they're very probably capable of.
Yeah, and it just depends if they're upset at you or not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If they're yelling.
Right.
There's so many guys yelling at tournaments, and it's like, all right. That's why I don't really want to ref like an IBJJF or anything like that. Like, I'll take the rules course, but I have no intention of ever reffing one of those bigger tournaments. I'll ref like local tournaments, as much as I can if I have the time.
Like still IBJJF local stuff, or do you mean like Naga or something?
Yeah, if the IBJJF came to Minnesota, maybe that would be like the one, because then there would be like people who at least like know me.
Sure.
Right? But if, man, like going to Chicago and like reffing and then having just like so many people getting angry at you.
For sure.
Yeah. Even if like I made like a right call or whatever. But thankless job.
Right is relative.
Yeah.
It would be like reffing Little League, except the people that are angry at you could choke you.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just throw blind punches when it came to it.
Man, yeah, that sounds horrible to me, right? Because
totally, yeah.
I've seen so many referees get just verbally assaulted by like an angry coach or whatever for something that either they quote deserved or didn't, right? Like whether they actually did screw up,
Right.
But
I'm scoring it. You thought I scored it wrong.
They're humans, right? Like, yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I don't want to ever do that. Ever.
Is there? I mean, you have to go into training for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So for the IBJJF, they have a giant rules course, and you can take it even if you don't want to end up being a ref. And it's like Ishmael's taken a few of them. And it takes I think 2 to 3 hours or something like that. And they usually have them before certain tournaments, like the Pan Ams. They always have like a big one, because they also update the rules
for sure, yeah,
every year. Yeah. So
there might be some new little detail that you didn't know about yet.
And there's, the IBJJF rules are the most comprehensive and in depth, which is really good. But there's also a lot of them. But then, unless you're like one of the best IBJJF refs, there's only so many details you can get,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
And the best refs absolutely get it,
I would assume,
at Worlds and Pants and stuff, where they usually bring in like the best.
You don't really see, at least in the cruising around online that I've done, you don't really see the you screwed up ref video from that level.
Yeah,
it's always some
for
rando
sure.
Local, even other federations.
Yeah, it's like a Chicago or like an Austin or Atlanta IBJJF Open, right? Where it's like, oh, that referee. I've seen refs screw up and then just never ref again because they get
the backlash.
They get fired. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Which makes sense. I mean, to a point, right?
Yeah, and then at the black belt level or certain color belt finals, you get the corner refs, right? So you get 3 referees.
Yeah.
So if one of them screws up, if the center ref screws up, then the other 2 can override it.
It's a majority rule type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So
make sure to do that coordinated handshaking dance beforehand.
Yeah,
so that you're on good graces.
I've been in a few of them. I think I kind of figured it out. There's one time where I really screwed it up and I ran into the person as we were kind of transferring from refs. Right? Yeah. Or you both go for the same ref at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's we just started this off on an awkward foot here.
Right, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think I figured it out. But
hey, since you've mentioned Ishmael Bentley, there's a thing I want to do at the start of a lot of these podcasts, just given our mutual connection to him and his gym. With people who have that same connection, you obviously one of them, is I want you to do your best Ishmael impression.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yeah, what do you want me to say?
I hold on. I like how just amped you got halfway through my explanation. You're like, I know what's coming. Man, we're doing this, man.
Yeah. So I've spent a lot of time with him. So oftentimes, words that I don't even try to, especially like when he's teaching.
Yeah.
Right. I've been through so many of his lessons that he says a lot of the instructions kind of the same way. Right. He's kind of got the verbiage down. So
yeah, you just used one.
Yeah. What?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
All right.
Yeah. So I picked that up. Right. Because, right.
Mm-hmm.
I say it a lot. Because when, I was like 16, 17, 18, right? Like pretty formative years. You spend a lot of time with this person, right? So you pick up a lot of these little habits.
Well, and I think we all kind of imprint on each other anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So then, when you talk about like formative years and whatnot, you really pick stuff up.
Yeah. When he's coaching and when I'm coaching, apparently I take on a slight Southern accent.
Which is my preference. I'm a fan of especially the Kentucky blues. So accent, so.
Yeah. Stabilize. Stabilize. Move. Yes. Ah. No. Ah. Yes. Yeah.
Some of my favorites, because I obviously am hanging around waiting for kids' class to end.
Yeah.
It's just like the push-up wall.
Okay, kids.
All right, kids.
Kids, stop talking. You cannot.
That's so good. It's so good.
And whenever he goes and like visits Kentucky, right? He like comes back and his accent's like noticeably thicker.
It's refined, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh god, I don't really know what you're saying right now.
That's awesome.
Guitar. Guitar. It's like, what?
Oh, Rigoshi. I said that to him one day. I said, one really cool thing about coming here is hearing Japanese words in a Southern accent. Yeah. Oh, Rigoshi.
Tai Taushi. Yeah. Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. That's definitely better than what Paulie gave me, but Paulie's was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you say, Paulie? What sentence did you say?
He didn't do one. He did like when Ishmael really gets laughing, and he gave one specific scenario where it happened. Where he was out with him.
Yeah.
And he just did that thing. I guess I've never heard that. I don't know.
Or like when someone says something funny and he's like.
yeah, and it apparently that's how he described it. Led into that high pitched thing,
There's one of that's a little bit more visual, right? But there's like, where he kind of like puts his hand up, unless he's like disregarding, he like turns away a little bit.
It's the Ishmael talk to the hand gesture. Is that what that
Pathetic.
is? Well, I haven't gotten that one yet.
Oh yeah. No. That's a good one. No.
Yeah, and that with the eyes and the head.
Yeah. I often, not often, but I can do it. I can do a pretty good one.
I mean, yeah, these are good. This is good. I figured you'd be easily the second best.
Who's the best?
The impersonation, just because, again, the amount of time. You started with them when you were young. I kind of had an ear on all that. Well, I'm hoping to prompt that same start of episode to Ishmael Bentley when he comes in. So I figure he'll be number one. I don't think it'll come through because he won't say a thing. It'll just be a standard, like classic Ishmael, gesture, and he'll just eyeball me and roll his eyes or whatever. But that's going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, there's a few other things. Yeah. Absolutely. Like for sure. Oh yeah.
So next time we do this, I'm gonna compile like all of the most common things into like a sentence and just have you read it.
Yeah.
And just like fully get into character.
Yeah. There's one that I use a lot, and it's of course when you get into an argument with someone and you are for sure right. No way, dude. No way.
Paulie's like, yeah, I know that.
Paulie's just like, yeah. It's like, no way, right? Because that happens, right? Like where you're just like, that you're right, and the other person's like, he's like, that makes no sense. Right? Not make any sense.
I should have put the camera on for this. Because the mannerisms and the gestures are so spot on.
Yeah.
Like it's like how I can I'm like like if my old man walked in the room. Yeah, exactly.
He just puts his face on his hand on his
the
face.
hand on the face.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's almost sad that we all know that gesture so well. Just
But it's so great,
pure
right?
disappointment.
Yeah, the disappointment. Yeah, I've pitched so many ideas to him. All of them I don't actually intend them to stick.
For sure.
But and then he's just like, no. I'm like, yeah, Ishmael, we should put a loft above the lobby, like where you see those windows are. You put a loft up there, and that's where like the competitors stay, and then we can like live up there. And then he was like,
this is a good idea.
No.
Yeah,
And I was like, yeah, and then we can just have like a rope, instead of like a staircase or like a fire, we just have a rope. So that way we have to climb it so that our grip strength gets really good.
Yeah.
He did not go for that.
No.
The other one that I proposed is to add another quote up on the wall, and it's right above where that couch is now, right by the small mat.
Yeah.
And above the windows, right? And it just says, "Mo money, mo problems." Also did not go for that one.
Yeah.
Yet.
No way. Yeah.
I bring it up every now and then, so hopefully he'll go for it.
That's funny.
But yeah.
God, the gestures. Yeah, I'm like I was saying, my old man. I'm a carbon copy of my old man.
Yeah.
And I'm to the point after having been told that and whatnot over the years, I can feel me being my dad, like the hand gestures and stuff.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Like you can see it so well. I know you can feel that that's like an absorbed trait from.
Yeah. And with my dad too, right? Like I guess the males in my family kind of, on my dad's side especially, really inherit similar things, right? So
strong genes.
Yeah, like a storytelling ability, right? Like we kind of have like the same mannerisms. Like we use our hands a lot and things like that. But even like I was just we were sitting around, I think like Thanksgiving or something, and my dad just had his hands interlocked on his belly, right? And then I looked down and my hands were like this. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I'm talking about, is you start to just see things often enough that eventually you'll be on your own and you'll be able to feel it. You're like, I feel like what my dad looks like.
Yeah, and then like my dad's affinity for ice cream. Yeah, I definitely took that from him.
Well, isn't that just sort of a human thing?
Yeah. Well, like today, my mom was like, "You ate that whole thing of ice cream, eh?" And my dad was like, "Tasted good." And I was like, yeah, that's me. I was like,
Well, they sell ice cream in those single serving buckets.
Yeah, it's not enough. Yeah, it's not enough. Like little like pints, like Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, I'll eat those.
Yeah, why do they package them that way? You got to get like 3 for it to be a
just
serving.
tape 4 of those together, and then I'll be fine. But yeah, I gotta have like a whole thing of them.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm not much of a beer drinker, but yeah, if you're offering it.
This is not beer. This is a high performance recovery beverage, sports recovery beverage. You see how it says banquet on it? That means it's classy.
You also like Always Sunny, which
of course
I appreciate.
I'm an American.
Yes.
Therefore, I like Always Sunny.
On the record, my favorite show of all time.
It's not even an issue of preference. It's the greatest comedy ever made.
Yeah, and you sounded
Cheers holds up really well.
You sounded like Mac right there.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. Yeah. For Halloween,
we should do a Charlie Day impersonation competition or something. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go Halloween. Go Halloween.
Yeah. So for Halloween, me and Ryan Dixon, the late great Ryan Dixon.
No. Hold on. Very few people know this. I've gotten to know him pretty well, so I'm gonna use this platform to expose this truth on his behalf. It's actually Randy Dorkson. Did you know that? That's this big kerfuffle, like Phil Beddor or Bedell at MTT. His name is actually Paul.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Same kind of thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right, so Randy and I
Randy Dorkson
decided that we would all be different Always Sunny characters for Halloween, like the next year.
That's perfect.
I chose Frank because I was very, very confident in my Frank impersonation. Randy,
just a dead-eyed, humorless sociopath.
Yeah, Randy. That's Dennis. Randy chose.
No. What? Hold on. Let me pause this. This is going good so far, but I'm gonna pause it.
Yeah.
I mean Danny DeVito.
Oh, Danny DeVito.
Watch the outtakes.
Oh, I'm
You know who never ruins a take?
He's done like
he's laughing.
He's laughed like once.
One time.
Yeah.
He's just legit a pro and or dead-eyed sociopath.
Yeah, yeah.
Dennis is playing it, I'm sorry, what's his name again? He's playing the character of the thank you. Yeah. Of the sociopath. But if you watch the outtakes, he's the one that laughs. Him
and Mac.
Mac for sure.
Him and Mac laugh like yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But and Randy, formerly Ryan, was gonna be Charlie, right? We had like a few others, right?
I feel like the voice would match.
No offense, and Randy. Just his job in general, right? It's just Charlie work. It's just Charlie work, yeah. But for like a whole year, because we decided this on on Halloween, and then the next Halloween we're gonna have it come to fruition.
Yeah.
For a whole year, just practice my Frank impression, right? Charlie, right? Like just the whole mannerisms, right?
I started blasting.
Coors. Yeah. So anyway, I started blasting, right? Right. Coors, my Coors, right? And the next year, we didn't even have a party. We just had like a kids party, and I was like, I am not going to embody Frank Reynolds during a kids class party.
That seems like a good decision.
It seems like very on brand for Frank, but this is real life. So I was like, I'm not going to do that.
It's not a preferable decision, but it's a good decision.
But yeah, Charlie, I really like Dennis. I like Dennis, the character of like his golden god the most, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, that show, man, that show's so good.
Yeah, you remember when we were kids and you had feelings? It's just brilliant. It's brilliant stuff.
I will unleash my rage like 1,000 storms. It's just his head shakes. Right?
What does he drive?
A Range Rover.
Range Rover.
Yeah, but like one of the older ones, right? Like the box Range Rovers,
tries
right?
to sell it like it's primo.
This is not a starter car. This is a finisher car. Be gone with you, vile man. Be gone.
So what we should do is we'll get another microphone and bring that man over there into it. The episode's host, Paulie Brooks, husband of Kathy, the real host. And we should just record episodes of us talking SHIT through Always Sunny episodes. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah,
we'd have to start a little sooner on that bottle there, but it would work.
Yeah, I also am very confident in my cricket impersonation, and I wish I knew that actor's name because he does a good job.
His name is Cricket.
Yeah,
Rickety Cricket.
Rickety Cricket in the show.
Name,
yeah. I like him. I like to do his impersonation. Oh shit.
Just don't swallow the tab on that beer. So the lemon sucking scene.
Yeah, that's the one I like to do.
Yeah, everybody does it. Yeah. But no, I have yet to meet anybody that does it better than my girlfriend Wendy.
Oh yeah.
Like it's right in the right vocal tones.
Are you sure?
Does this look like a dog's vagina to you? I mean, I can't do it. I'm way too deep.
Look like a dog's vagina to you.
That's so good. God. Yeah. You're still second.
It's not my job to get inside the head of a dog. That's God's job.
Now,
it doesn't exist, by the way.
So.
That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, and for people who don't know, he was a priest early on. So
who
doesn't exist, by the way, is an excellent.
Highly, it is a 12 out of 10 show. Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
They just got re-signed for 4 more seasons.
I know, it's fantastic.
Now I'm hoping it's not for us to watch the decline because
most
shows got 4 seasons, maybe 6.
And here's the thing is like they kind of already went through their quote decline.
They
right?
did. That's right.
Then they kind of took a step back and they're like, okay, how can we kind of make things different? And that's why you see like different episodes. They did like the noir, episode, right? Yeah. They do even their very last episode where they're just in the laser tag. It's set up like a play.
Yes.
So it never changes, right? And you got like enter stage left, enter stage right, things like that. And then you got their flashback episode, which I thought in the first half they were like, okay, we're just gonna like, do a flashback episode. But then the last half it totally changes because when they're flashing back, they start misremembering the episodes. Yeah. And so then you start to see the episodes change. The episodes that you've already seen earlier in the season start to change. and it's totally brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant, right? And they for sure have like some episodes that like kind of miss, right? And it's like, okay, like, that was okay, but man, and then like they had that Mac dance scene, right?
Incredible.
Because Mac comes out as gay, right?
Yeah.
In an earlier season, and apparently like the whole Mac, the actual actor was like, yeah, man, we did that.
McKellen.
Yeah, Rob. Yeah. He's like, we did that, and the response we got from the gay community was so positive.
Yeah, I remember.
And then they're like, okay, well, we're really glad we did it, but we want to have an actual episode that's dedicated to this, right? And so then he came up with the dance routine,
right.
And that's why he gets like, so jacked.
Yeah,
It's in
goes
real
from Fat
life.
Mac and then
it's
shreds it
just
down.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But that's like, their homage to that, coming out and that
the reception of
and that reception, that difficulty, right? Which is brilliant. If you just watch that scene, you wouldn't. There's no way you'd be like, oh yeah, that's Always Sunny, right?
No,
There's
it was totally different.
Yeah, which
and
is
then
fantastic.
It like cold ends at the end, right? Like Frank's like, I get it now, and then it's just over.
Yeah, it's so good, right? It's fantastic. Yeah,
and it's a really impressive, like performance.
It's so good. Yeah. My whole family danced, right, except me. So like my dad was in like Dance Dads.
That's awesome,
right? Both my sisters, I think. I don't know if one of them did. I'm pretty sure. But my brother, right? So everyone danced. I was around dance a lot. And then we watched So You Think You Can Dance a lot. So even though I can't dance, like I think I have like an okay idea of like what good dance is, right?
Sure.
Just like kind of being around it so much and like kind of watching it. And it's good because the hardest part, I guess, is like selling that emotion when you're dancing.
For sure.
And he totally does it.
Anybody can like paint by numbers dance.
And
but it's a different thing to move.
Yeah.
To
and
like feel the movement.
His partner is an actual dancer, right? So it's not an actor that was dancing, right? It was an actual dancer, right? Yeah. Who, for all intents and purposes was playing an actress, right?
For
like
sure.
Because she has like one line in it that when she's leaving the apartment, right? And she's like,
right.
She says something to Danny DeVito, but like, she just has to dance, right? So she talks through her movements, which is really good.
Right. Are you? I mean, I am. So I'm curious if are you on a first name basis with Danny DeVito?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. We
it's a small world, man.
Snapchat.
You talk and text more than most people know.
Yeah, we Snapchat, but he always holds the camera like down by his stomach.
Yeah, standard.
And so it's always
he is
like
over 55
just his chin
and a white male. Yeah,
right. Which is funny because my nephew, who's like 2.5, holds the camera the same way. Like whenever
there's an arc to that technique.
Whenever he's FaceTiming, it's just like his upper lip and up, and it's like, Bennett, what are you doing? It's like, oh my God, hold the camera right.
You're looking up your nose.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Yeah. I don't know because another trait that I guess me and my brother have and my dad is that we don't really eat anything that we have to prepare ourselves past like 3 steps. Right?
So you're an American.
Yeah. Like obviously if it's made for us, we'll eat it because that's 0 steps.
And
but
you're a male.
Yeah, that basically sums it up. So I have no clue. Yeah, really. Oh my God, what is it? Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm around there all the time. I've never been there, but I for sure like later on. I have no clue.
I eat meat.
Yeah, man, just go up and just say whatever the biggest thing on the menu is, just give that to me.
It's an uncooked duck. Here you go. It's the biggest thing we got.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like spicy stuff, so
I could tell that because you're kind of very, very pale.
Yeah, because I'm just pale and from
like
Minnesota.
I mean, wheat bread is spicy to me.
You can always tell the person's spice tolerance by how hard they say hockey. It's just hockey. It's like, okay,
hockey.
This is hard, so does not have a spice tolerance. It's inversely proportional.
Did you play hockey? Did you play other
No,
sports?
but I watch it a lot.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
You're
like,
probably
sort of.
better at that than me. Yeah, go ahead.
You didn't play sports?
No, I played soccer. I played soccer and a little bit of baseball. I played 3 years in baseball, which is another story, which we'll get into later.
No,
right now?
Do it right now.
All right. So in 8th grade, I decided I wanted to play baseball. 8th grade was also the year that I started jiu-jitsu. So
that was going to be one of my questions. Did you start at Mtheory?
No, I started at another gym. I started at Warriors Cove.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
I
which a
think
lot of people, so many people from Mtheory
that's
started
a very
there.
common thing. Not even just Mtheory, but like a lot of places, they got a lot of locations, right?
Yeah, and I won't go into further detail because I don't want you to get sued.
So good.
But
we'll blame Paulie.
it's funny because I started in like January or so, and then we had like our spring training camp. So like
Right
I had
before you
been
started
active.
baseball,
I had been active, so I was like in relatively good shape.
Sure.
And so when we did like the spring training, I had no experience in baseball,
Right.
but I was in good shape. So I was like in 8th grade, just running laps around like the seniors because all the seniors were out of shape, right?
Yeah.
And the coaches were so funny. It was also our inaugural year of baseball at my high school. And so, and it was a small private school, Providence Academy.
It was the first year they had baseball.
First year they had baseball. So everyone was just like,
for sure.
there was
Something
like
new and
there was
shiny.
like 35 of us, right? There was not a lot. And the coaches were like, who's that kid, right? And I was like, Marcus, right? I've never played baseball before, right? And so then they started calling me jiu-jitsu because
Correct.
yeah, because
That
they
makes sense.
saw like I was just like really good at bear crawls apparently, and they were like, "Why are you in such good shape?" And I was like, because I don't know, I do jujitsu," and they're like, "Jujitsu, I like that." And
Is Ishmael
they're
Bentley
also Southern,
your
they're
baseball
also
coach?
Southern.
What in the world?
Yeah, they're also Southern, right? But it was so funny because like I had the wrong shoes on. I didn't know how to throw. I could barely throw it. I still probably could barely throw it.
Yeah.
And I think they had me in outfield because I could run, right? And I could
get to
catch
the ball,
well
yeah.
enough, right? And then
If you don't catch it, at least you were there able to get it.
I
So
was
if you
there
could
and able to
run,
get
you're
it, and then I was able to kind of like flop it over to third base or wherever I was close enough to, right? And then after that, my second and third year, I decided for some reason to go to catcher, which is the most difficult position aside from pitcher, right? It was because my sister was dating a catcher at the time. She was also in high school. She was a senior in high school at the time, I think. And so he showed me like some catching things, right? And I liked it because I could like block the ball pretty quick. But man, and like looking back on it, I was like, damn, I got bullied a lot in baseball, right? Like all the other teammates totally bullied me, right?
What was
Because I didn't know how to play.
Well, for sure, yeah.
I had no
That's
clue how to
reasonable.
play, right? And I just like wanted to just like have fun with my friends, right?
Sure.
But they just like totally bullied me. There was one kid who was like, who wrote in my yearbook, and he was like, "Hey man, I really liked playing baseball with you," and I was like, I saw it when I got back home, and I was like, "Oh, thank you."
Ran the fields.
Yeah, but I did not play after 3 years, and then I stopped playing soccer my junior year. I played soccer like pretty much my whole kid and adolescent life.
Yeah.
And I really like soccer. I watch soccer all the time. But as I started doing more jiu-jitsu, I started to kind of realize like that was my thing. So I wanted to like focus on that.
So what are you at, 10 years now?
About 10 years. Actually, almost exactly 10 years.
Coming up this January. Right?
Yeah, actually January, yeah.
So next week.
Yeah, next week.
As of this recording, right?
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, January is when I started jiu-jitsu, and then December is when I started at Mtheory. So I can't, yeah.
So
And
essentially the first year.
Yeah. And like when I first started, it was just a mix of every other day was like jiu-jitsu, right? So it wasn't like doing it full time. And then like one of the deciding factors to get me to switch to Mtheory was like, oh, I just want to do jiu-jitsu. I don't want to do like striking. I don't want to strike a bag. I just want to do jiu-jitsu, right? And so after like 3 years or so. So 7 years, like 6.5, almost 6.5 from like white to black technically, because I also wasn't belted in like jiu-jitsu when I started at
the other gym.
right, yeah, because they had their own system, right? So Ishmael gave me my white belt, and he gave me all my promotions, every single one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is confirmed or not.
I think I know what you're going to say, and this is a question of mine.
Yeah, I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I think I'm Ishmael's first white to black.
All the way through, yeah.
Like uninterrupted, because he went to California for a year.
Oh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And for sure there were like some of his students that, were white belts, now are black belts. The only problem is I don't know if there were like students who did not get promoted within that year.
Right.
And then, so I don't know, but I like to think
that'd be
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also,
are you the youngest?
I'm the youngest.
In
I'm
Minnesota
the youngest in Minnesota. I don't know enough about the Midwest to say if I'm in the Midwest.
And who knows what's happening in some rando gym somewhere, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of like 18-year-old black belts, right? So I was 23.
There's a lot of 13-year-old black belts. It's just Taekwondo.
That's also true. Yeah, they kicked my ass.
I just watched King of the Demo. What's the name of the movie? The King of the Demo. You guys have not seen it?
No, I have
Danny
no
McBride. Foot Fist Way. That's what it is. You haven't seen a Foot Fist Way?
No.
You need to watch the Foot Fist Way.
I knew there was gonna be some movie that you were like, why you haven't seen that?
I don't even do that a whole lot, but like for someone who's effectively a lifelong
I feel like
artist,
you've done that to me enough. Where it was like, you haven't seen that? I was like,
yeah. I like the Greasy Strangler. Nobody's ever seen the Greasy Strangler. It's the cinematic excellence. It relates to jiu-jitsu. It's called the Greasy Strangler.
You know what cinematic excellence is? This movie Rubber.
Rubber?
Yeah.
Do I know Rubber?
This movie Rubber is about a car tire, just the rubber, and it gains sentience and in the desert, and it quickly realizes that it can also explode things with its mind, and so it becomes essentially a serial killer tire.
So I think I may have seen this, but as a riff tracks, like a Mystery Science Theater thing, which is kind of the way to see a lot of things anyway.
That's about how to see that movie.
Yeah.
It would make about as much sense if you did that, right? Because there's like some super meta stuff where like there's like people watching the tire on a hilltop, and then they're like watching a movie, and they're in the movie. It's super weird. I watched it, and I was like, I've never done drugs, but like, am I high right now? I was like,
did I accidentally do drugs?
I was like, what?
Paulie's looking it up to see if he can get it on one of his servers. He's got it.
Yeah, man.
Is that IMDb or can we watch it?
Yeah, man.
We'll just be here all night watching random stuff and talking about it.
One of my favorite movies, which is way better than it should be, is Tusk.
Tusk is maybe even a close second to Greasy Strangler.
It's
so good.
It's good, but
so good.
All the you wouldn't expect it to be good, right?
Yep, you're right on the money. So
you're
gonna love the Greasy Strangler when you see the Greasy Strangler.
Yeah. Because when I first watched Tusk, I watched it with a bunch of my high school friends, right? And we're all like in their basement, right? We watch it, we're just, and just the whole time. And then like we couldn't talk about walruses for three years after that, right?
I'm a little upset you said it, actually.
Yeah, well now I can, but I'm okay
Haley Joel Osment in that. Right?
Yeah, man. He gets a lot of work. He gets a lot more work than like you'd expect. Yeah, he was in The Boys. You watch that? The Boys is on I think it's on Amazon or something. It's like superheroes, but they're all like corporate schmucks.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And they're all about like the money, and they're not, about like saving people, right? They're all like sponsorships and stuff. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's really
like
good.
NASCAR superheroes, just stickers all over.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It's pretty good. Yeah. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but like that was one of the shows during like this quarantine. I was like, I'm gonna watch it,
dude.
Yeah.
What else did anybody do?
Yeah.
Is it like illegal basement jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
What do you mean?
I don't do jiu-jitsu right now.
What did I say?
Illegal basement jiu-jitsu.
I said that?
Yeah, I don't do any illegal stuff.
Okay.
I'm squeaky clean. Yeah, I don't go to any speakeasies. Yeah, that's my fault. Sorry.
Squeakeasies.
Squeakies.
Marcus, when you got promoted to black belt, you were called up first.
Yeah.
There was 3 guys that day, you, Kevin, and Ethan, right? Is that
Yeah.
right? And you walked up with mad swagger. Like super confident. I have photos. I was there taking photos. Right?
Yeah.
Where Ethan walked up and looked really confused.
I think we were all confused.
It's fair. You could tell he kind of sprung it.
Yeah.
And then I think Kevin actually argued with him, like, dude, are you sure? Like, he was saying stuff, and it was
Got 2 more stripes to go.
Yeah, but it was effectively like, are you sure, man?
Yeah.
I mean, it was masks. So
when he
stuff
first
to
said
read.
my name, I was like, it was a mistake.
Is there another Marcus? In
Yeah,
France?
yeah. Because it's funny because, like, I mean, he had the bag, right? And, promotions, it's fine. But it's funny because he told me, like, weeks before, he was like, Jared Fairbairn, who's the black belt instructor up in Brainerd, and, we could have a whole conversation about him.
We could do that.
later.
You gotta say the name of the gym first, though.
Yeah, of Black Arrow up in Brainerd, sorry.
Is his nickname Firebender? Why does no one say that?
It could be Avatar for all.
Or just
like-
straight up, just Ninja. What's up, Ninja?
Yeah. But he was like, yeah, Jared's coming down on the 28th, right? Make sure that you're here because he wants to train with you all because he's going back into work and he wants to get in shape for his work, right? His work requires some physical strength, right? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And totally bought it. Totally bought into it.
Yeah.
Because
that makes perfect sense.
yeah.
Like,
Also,
let's
because
come down
Jared
and-
is one of the people who I've scored a collective of 2 points against.
Yeah.
Ever, even as brown belt, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that was this summer, right? Is when I first scored, right? Just
Peak
murks
ability.
me, right? So I was like, okay, yeah. Right. And even like before we all lined up, I was like, Ishmael, so like, how hard do you want me to go with him? He's like, as hard as you possibly can, dude. Right? And I was like, okay, for sure. So I was like in the zone. I was like getting psyched up, right? I was like just staring off into the middle distance, like, oh, I'm ready to go, right? And then, Ishmael pulled out the bag, and I kind of like looked down the line, and I was like, okay, well, there's no like, no purple belts. There must be like some blue belts or white belts that have like 4 stripes, right? I was like, because there's definitely no one to the right of me, no like brown.
Let me have you pause
Yeah,
for a second.
yeah.
Does he put blue belts in a bag? Like he'll tuck it in his.
If he
but
has,
most of the time,
if
it's
he
not
has
the
a
most
lot of them,
ceremonial
if he
thing.
has a lot
Okay,
of them,
okay.
right? If there's like a bunch of promotions, like when there were the 3 of us,
Yeah.
that got promoted
Fair
to black
point.
belt. But either like a bag or like even a box he's done. Yeah. But it's funny because it's always the same bag. It's always the bag that we have like the ladder rope in. And
Yeah.
he takes that out.
It's like the only bag in the room.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, I specifically remember I was like leaning against the wall like someone from Greece, right? Just kind of like, just hanging
Like
out.
someone
just
from Greece?
ready to go.
You weren't quite a squatting
Like
slob,
Danny.
but you were. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like in my gis, my leather jacket,
Cigarettes rolled up. in
and then
your
he like
sleeve.
pulled it out and like threw it up there. All right, yeah. And it's funny because like I think a bunch of people do this. They like practice their black belt speech, right? If they know that eventually,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then of course everyone says like, "Yeah, I totally forgot it." Yeah, I totally forgot it. I was like,
Yeah.
I think it like took me a while to like put together words, but I think I did a good job. Subscribe to my OnlyFans for the full speech.
Correct.
Yeah.
Link will be in the show notes.
Yeah, I think I made that joke before. I like that joke.
Don't ruin a joke by saying it's a joke. Just
Yeah,
go with it.
but it is a joke.
You actually, I think Paulie and I nailed this down. You echoed some of the sentiment that Zach said in his.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, it was John.
Or
About,
John, yeah. I like Zach's speech.
Yeah, we talked about that. He and I talked
Yeah.
about that one quite a bit. But you said the same thing. He said that was like my first week of showing up to Mtheory, so I really remember a fair bit of detail from that seminar. But it was the thing about you're not the most important person here. Your training partner is. You
Yeah.
threw
Right, and a lot of people really struggle with that, and they're like, well, like you're doing it, right? Like it's just you, right? It was really not just you, because like you could go out, you could win a world championship, right? It was not just you winning that world championship,
you didn't
right?
practice with a dummy in your basement.
Yeah,
You
exactly,
practiced with
right?
people.
So, you know, when I got my black belt, I was like, okay, like everyone who I've ever trained with, if you rolled with me or drilled with me, you like contributed to all the medals on the walls and like all my belts and all that, right? So when you go out and compete, it's just a small fraction of time that you're quote unquote alone, and you're really not alone, right? I think of it like, you know, there's like a big homogeneous blob, right? And then when you go out to compete, it's just an extension, right? It's just a little reach out, right? Like flubber, right?
Yeah. That's what I thought you were talking about earlier.
Obligatory
when you said-
flubber reference.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
All right. Yeah.
No, I dig that. That's a good description.
Yeah, and like a lot of people, right? Like if I do well at a tournament or whatever, it's like, oh, you do like amazing, right? And one of the things I really like, and I try to practice a lot, is we speech, right? Is like, we went out there and like we did like really well, right? And because when you're prepping, it's not you, right? It's everyone. Everyone helps you prep, right? So it's like, oh, you know, yeah, we knew he was going to do this, or we knew he was going to do that, or like, you know, whatever. So that's really helped me as well, right? Just like stay grounded and stay like, okay, it's not me out there and like, you know, big head, whatever. So yeah, seeing also having training partners that beat the crap out of you, right?
For sure.
You're like, okay, like, yeah.
Certainly no shortage of those.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Who's your most enjoyable role? Speaking of those training partners,
And
not as like let's
define
rank
enjoyable.
your friends or whatever, but
Yeah.
like, which one jumps to mind?
Yeah,
when
well, I have
you
a
start
whole notepad of people who constantly go up and down in the rankings of, no, I'm just kidding.
For sure.
of my friends. Define enjoyable. Like,
keep you guessing.
Keep me guessing.
Imprint like question marks in your brain. But,
Yeah.
you know, no matter how frequently you roll, you're always kind of walking away going, huh.
Yeah, there's definitely like the three, right? Like, definitely the two other guys I got my black belt with, right? So Ethan Bowman and Kevin Skadheim, right? Pretty sure I said his name right. Did I?
Paulie and I talked
Yeah.
about the same thing. Skadheim? I don't know.
Skadheim, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it sounds right. We'll go
sorry,
with it.
Kevin. I know you're like the second guest on this, so you'll clarify pretty
And he's
quick.
arguably one of the two people that'll listen to this. So
Yeah.
from what he said.
So Ethan, Kevin, and then Ryan, the Possum Pottabomb. That's his nickname. He wants to go by it. So
I've heard
remember
Scary Ryan too.
yeah, Scary Ryan is what people call him because obviously there's Ryan Dixon, Randy Dixon.
It's Randy, so it's not an issue.
Yeah. So, but I think all the white belts came up with that because all the white belts would see Pottabomb, and they're not going to call him Pottabomb because they're white belts. So they want to
except
call him
me.
Ryan.
Yeah.
They want to call him Ryan, but there's Ryan Dixon, so they're like, yeah, Scary Ryan, right?
Oh yeah.
It's
You know, I heard it from who did I hear it from? I think it was Jessica, either Jessica or Micah.
Yeah, Jessica. Yeah, Jessica definitely.
But again, you know,
would
who
say
you hear
that.
something from doesn't necessarily mean
Yeah.
the person that came up with it.
But yeah, like those three for sure, like, is a really good example of when you roll with someone who you're competitive with, and you could be a white belt, especially a white belt,
Yeah.
blue belt, purple belt, whatever, right? Like those people who you're on the same level with relatively,
Right.
you know, you roll with someone and then X goes wrong. And then you're like, okay, I need to fix that. And then you fix it and, you know, you can try it. And if it goes wrong, then you just don't do it. If it goes right, oh, cool. Now they have X that they need to fix.
Sure.
Right.
It's just this level up game.
And so
back
it just
forth.
constantly climbs, right? And then one of the things that I've been trying to do is talking to those three, like, about that. So not trying to, like, keep it from them and, like, you know, try to, because then it comes, like, about, you know, competition, right?
Like, let's talk about the gaps that are being
Yeah,
exposed
like,
so
oh,
we
man,
both
like, you
address
tried this. Like, I, like, tried this grip. And, like, man, as soon as I lost that grip, you got the, and he's like, yeah, I'm trying to, like, do this. Because that helps us all get better, right?
We're not just each learning what we're learning. We're both learning stuff together.
And there is a time and place to, okay, I'm going to come in the gym and I'm going to just try to win, right?
Sure.
But it should be about learning, right? Which is really tough, especially for me, because I'm like a pretty competitive person by nature.
Mm-hmm.
So there was like a long stretch where I was like, man, okay, I'm going to like win, right? And then like when I was starting to like late brown belt, in black belt is kind of shifted to like the learning aspect of it, right? And of course, when I'm getting ready for competition, it will start to hone in, right? But with them, for sure, right? And then it also comes down to like, okay, who's having like a good day, right? If Potabom is hungover the night before, okay, I might lose because it gives him some kind of power, right? Just that self-loathing, right? But yeah, like definitely, if you're like really confident in a move, that's the most deciding factor I've found for competition and for training, right? If you're confident in a move, man, that'll make or break a move, right? I think that at the highest level, confidence is the gold medal, silver medal difference. Sure. That's what I think, right?
Because you just stepped in and executed the way you knew you could. Yeah. There was no question, no hesitations.
Yeah, man, because like knowledge does not equal execution, right?
Sure.
So, I'm having students right now that I'm teaching, right? And then I teach them things that I know are good things because I steal them from other really good competitors, right? And I practice them enough to be like, okay, yeah, this like for sure works. And then they do it on me, right? But even though I can't do it on them, right? Because even though I know like those moves or those concepts or whatever, execution is something different entirely, right? It was like Hickson or Helio, right, saying like, I'm gonna armbar you on your left arm and you can't stop it, and then they start the roll, and then, well, okay, I know he's gonna armbar me on the left arm, and you just can't stop it because it's execution.
Yeah,
and I think that's really difficult, right?
Well, for sure,
it's super difficult. It's difficult enough to limit yourself. Like I'm only gonna do arm bars, right, or I'm only gonna pass this way, or I'm only gonna play on bottom.
Oh, and that's that Hodger Gracie.
Yeah.
Thing from X number of years ago. He said, I'm going to beat everybody. What was it? Do you remember? It was one specific move for like a whole year or whatever.
Yeah, well, there was the famous, I think it was 2009 World Championships. I think it was 2009, yeah, where he submitted everyone with the same technique.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Weight and absolute in the World Championships. Submitted everyone with a cross-collar choke from top mount. Or a variation of it, like an Elio choke or cross-collar choke. Yeah, but it's the kind of same thing. But man, imagine being Romulo Barral, right? Because he faced Romulo in the absolute finals. Imagine being Romulo. Hodger had 9 matches, and Romulo was the 9th. And Romulo was like, wow, he just submitted 8 guys with the same thing.
Hope he's tired.
Right? Like, I wonder what he's gonna try to do to me, right? And the match is actually really good, right? It's not like Romulo. It's not like Hodger just like, took everyone down immediately. Like the matches were like fairly competitive, at least like some of them. But man, he just found a way. A way to mount and cross collar choke. I actually really like cross collar choke. I've kind of waned away from it in the last like few months, but I think that my game is pretty unique for like someone my size, like a light featherweight, right? Because I really like mount. Right?
Big guy stuff.
Yeah, right? Like a little bit more like big guy stuff, right? Like I'm comfortable mount, comfortable like cross collar choke, right? I like in a specific way I like to do it. And
I like cross collar choke. I tap to it all the time.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, when Victor Hugo submitted me with a cross collar choke, it was just his hands covering both my neck and my jaw. Right. And I was like, this is what the weight of the world feels like. Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to tap before I eat my jaw. Right?
You had a clip. What was the last tournament you did?
American Nationals.
Is that where the clip that made it onto like Jiu-Jitsu Times and all that?
I don't think Jiu-Jitsu Times. Lapel guard players or whatever on Instagram.
Oh, really good. I swear I saw it on like Jiu-Jitsu Times because I don't follow no lapel guard players.
Maybe.
Tell me about that move. As a sweep,
yeah. Well, so we went into that tournament like with a very specific game plan. Because a couple, me and Mtheory, right? Yeah. And because a couple weeks before I hurt my groin, so I think I partially, sprained it or tore it or whatever. Right? It hurt. Right? Mm-hmm. So I couldn't train for like 2.5 weeks. But I watched everyone at Nogi Pans compete. Like I watched a bunch of my friends or students, and I was like, man, okay, I want to compete.
Screw it, let's go.
Yeah, so I signed up for American Nationals, gi and no gi, but I ended up only doing gi because in my final I kind of like stretched it, and I was like, but in the gi you can I can kind of like slow them down, right?
Sure, it's a different game.
Yeah,
right?
it got well enough that I could play guard, because at first I was like, oh, I'm only gonna like pass, right? Because I can't abduct or internally rotate my knee at all, because it was just like, cannot do it. Yeah. But then it started getting better enough where I could play guard. So like, okay, when I play guard, I'm just gonna play like lapel guard, right? Because I can like slow people down. I can really monitor that injury, right? So it won't like get messed up. And yeah, like I just kind of wrapped him up with the lapel and did like a lapel lasso. And then I started to invert, and I tried to feed it to squid guard, and then he stepped back with that leg, and then I just fed it through to his other leg, which was now forward to what is called Polish worm rider. And I did not come up with any of these moves. These are all the great worm lord Keenan Cornelius.
Yeah, this is all
right?
Keenan stuff.
Yeah, and but I like it, man. When I first started playing like lapel, I call it lapel stuff, right? It's like
I follow you.
like kinky, right?
Yeah.
It's like all the lapel stuff. I didn't know how much I would like it, because Keenan is astronomically different body size than me, right?
What is he,
super
like, 6'3",
long,
6'4"?
super lanky.
Yeah, skinny.
Right? Love the way that Keenan teaches, by the way. Love, he's one of the people who's revolutionized jiu-jitsu, right?
Always takes a nerd.
Yeah.
Whatever the game is,
he's really funny too. I really like his sense of humor. But I started playing with it, and yeah, like I could do all of it, right? And so I follow it, and I think that when people see lapel guards, they immediately like, I can't do that, right?
I can relate to that, yeah.
That's only because they see the advanced stuff, right? There's advanced stuff from half guard and close guard that
Absolutely,
I can show you.
yeah,
You're like, I can't do that, right? But there's like a base level of lapel guard that, man, everyone could do. If you can hold a lapel in your hand, you could play it. Mm-hmm. And if anything, it makes everything else easier. So I tell people, I'm like, if you want to get good at open guard, right? You play open guard normally, and you get your guard passed in like 15 seconds. And it's like, well, that was fun practice. I can't wait till the next round or to play it again, right? But if you get to lapel guard, or like, hey, like I want to start in lapel guard, right? Like lapel lasso. Well, now you have bought yourself like a minute and a half of 2 minutes of like open guard play. So you just completely extend that amount of time that you're practicing it, right? So you get so much more rep time in that open guard, right? And even if you get it passed eventually, it's like, that's okay, because you had that amount of time to practice. So it's like a handicap. It's really cool, right? Yeah. Side note, closed guard's the most technical guard, for sure, right? I'm like lapel guard, sure, right? Spider guard, all these guards, but closed guard, so many people don't understand how to use closed guard efficiently.
Why? And
effectively, because it's like one of the first guards that you learn, right? And then you kind of branch off, right? It's like everything. It's like a scissor sweep. It's like cross collar choke. These moves that you learn like first day, right? Or like first week or first month or first year. And then you try it. It doesn't work. And then you branch off into other techniques that do work for you, right? But you don't stick with those techniques that you first learned, right? So when I was like a purple belt, I started doing the scissor sweep again. It was just catching everyone, right? Scissor sweep, cross collar choke. Closed guard is one of those guards that biomechanically it is a nightmare to deal with, right? If you know how to use it correctly, right? Sure. Yeah, it is. It's really, really tough.
Just tends to get overlooked because it feels old. It feels simple.
Feels old. Someone has
not
like
as sexy.
Someone has like a strong posture, and you can't armbar and triangle them. Yeah, it's like, well, man, there's a little bit more to it than that, right? How to break someone down? You have your thighs around their center mass. Yeah. You have the strongest part of your body.
Controlling right? the least mobile part of theirs.
If they shift their weight in a wrong area, they should be paying for it, right?
Tip over.
The tip sweep. Tip sweep's my favorite, right? Yeah, I do have that clip somewhere. It's in Oklahoma. I did a really good tip
Oh,
sweep.
you actually have that?
It exists,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure it was in a pretty good view of the camera. I just have to go back and find it and then
That's
clip
good.
it. I'm not tech savvy with that, so I'll send that to you, and then you can get that for me.
And I'll just go to YouTube and find a tutorial and figure
Yeah.
out how to do it. That's how you
Yeah,
should do it.
or you can just talk to me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So this is kind of the first real conversation of this I've recorded. And with it comes actually the first listener question
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
that was sent to me. So you had a little mini viral moment because you did a cool lapel
Yeah.
sweep with all kinds of animal names and stuff that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
listed
yeah.
afterward.
Yeah, like ethnicities. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a jiu-jitsu
Polish.
genius. So yeah, Polish. Thank you. And I'm supposed to ask you what happened after that really cool sweep that went viral.
Yeah, I started passing. I got like a really good passing chain going because I got the grips that I wanted. I'm not used to passing someone like him. The guy I went against super good, right? He was on a tear. He won like Nogi Pans. He won like a bunch of these tournaments, right? I was really excited to
cool.
go against him. When I started passing, I moved him way more than I thought I was going to be able to move him.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
And that's just because I train with people who are heavier than him. Right. And so I didn't get like the best kind of passing finishes, or like I didn't like stick the pass. Right. Then he swept me back, I think, because I wasn't really like.
After the clip that I've seen, you
Yeah,
got swept?
so I swept him, passed a lot, or like tried to pass a lot, like really aggressive passing. And then I forget exactly the scramble, but like I think he wound up back on top, scored 2. I swept him with the same thing again later on. And when I was passing, I stretched my groin. So the second time I came on top, I was I was far less mobile.
Sure.
And then the moment you're
You're feeling the pain and it's holding you back.
yeah,
Is that what you mean?
not even like the pain. It's just like you just like can't really do
Yeah,
it, right?
okay.
Like okay, you like go and push somewhere and you can't do it. The moment you're not mobile, you're sitting duck, and that's exactly what happened. And then I was really lazy with like my grips. And then he shot like a super nice triangle, and then like got the triangle. I thought I was gonna get out of it, and then he adjusted. He did something. I forget what. I think it was really subtle. I don't think I would be able to like point it out on a video, but I definitely felt it like when he did it. I was like, oh, he did something. And that was like a minute left or so. He was up on an advantage. So yeah, so he was winning anyway. It was super good. Yeah, I can't wait to go against like more guys like him for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, but it was like I gave up like 2 points super early on in the match.
So
which
you're
is,
coming from a deficit up to that.
yeah, which is not where you want to be, right? Like you don't want to be down an advantage or by points and you're on top, right? At that weight class. It's just like that super tactical thing is just like not a position you want to be in.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good match. I like that match.
It was Ryan Pottebaum that like immediately messaged me after I posted relating to that. He's like, so ask him what happened after that.
It wasn't immediately after that, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the second I posted, hey, check out this guy. I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to him for a podcast.
Pottebaum also-
he immediately messaged me.
He
like,
also-
ask him what happened after
He
that.
also messaged me and was like, because you're posted like, oh, like people like mildly cheer, like scattered boos.
Yeah.
And then he messaged me and he was like, someone asked, who's that? And I was like, that's about
I think
right.
he sent that to me. Or
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
posted it
that's
too.
accurate. Whatever.
Beddor? What is it?
Yeah, a lot of people pronounce it better. It's
that,
Beddor.
actually.
Most of the time I correct people. There are some people who I just don't correct, and then I just kind of let them call me that because I think it's funny.
Sure.
Yeah, and then like eventually they're gonna say it in front of someone who knows how to pronounce it, and then they're gonna be like, "What?" I'll be like, "Yes, chaos."
Everybody's uncomfortable now.
Well, it's only uncomfortable if you make it uncomfortable.
How many times have you competed at black belt?
I competed.
Wait, how long you been a black belt now?
I've been a black belt since August 28th. So
of 2020.
Of 2020, yeah. So.
And you've done 3 or something now?
3. Yeah, I was supposed to do Atlanta and Nogi Pans and Houston, but then I had that groin issue, so I had to pull out of all of them, which kind of sucked. But I did Oklahoma, and I got second in Oklahoma in my division. And then
not so bad for fresh.
Yeah, it's not so bad. Yeah,
belt rank.
Yeah. So I won 2, lost the final in points against a really good competitor. Right, like all these guys are super good. Right, like there's no trumps in adult black belt. Right, like it's like, all right. And then I did the Absolute at Oklahoma, and that's where I went against Victor Hugo, which was awesome. And Victor Hugo was multiple-time colored belt world champion, pan champion, won everything at the colored belts. Right. And at the time, he was considered and could still be considered the best pound-for-pound black belt competitor.
Yeah, if you're gonna get your rear end handed to you by somebody, somebody like that.
He's ultra heavyweight. He's like 260 pounds. I made it like 4.5, 5 minutes into the match, which is pretty good. It's awesome, right? Yeah. I almost threatened an armbar. Yeah, and then it was tight enough where he had to like yank out of it, and like he like kind of dove away, right?
Made him kind of rethink what he was working
and I got an advantage for it for sure. Yeah.
Sweet.
So I don't know if you call that a score, but I scored on him. But yeah, but
it's better than you had done before on him.
Went like anyone else?
Yeah.
Anyone else
it was
before?
a PR match, right?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Well, I've only.
Relative to him is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
This is the best I've done with this guy.
Yeah.
It's the only time
I've only
seen
gone
him.
against. Yeah, I've only gone against him once, right, guys? Yeah, PR, right?
Pretty good, yeah.
But it was so funny because then afterwards I was like, man, like I watched a lot of Victor's matches. I love watching him, and I was like, man, I can't remember the last time like someone scored an advantage from a legit submission on him. I was like, man, so close. And then we make the running joke. We're like, why don't you just finish it? And I was like, yeah, I should have just finished it, man. I should have just submitted him. I don't know why I didn't.
Wanted to play a different game that day. That wasn't the game plan.
Yeah, it's not the game plan, right? The game plan was to straight ankle lock him or something. I don't know, but yeah. And then I did pans. I made it to the second day pans, which is really cool, right? So black belt, you make it to a certain round, and then you get to compete on the second day. So it's on Saturday and Sunday. So I won my first match, and then I made it to the quarterfinals, and then you get to compete second day, which is really cool because not a lot of people get to say that. Which is really
it's kind of one way to sort of objectively score yourself. Like,
yeah.
Did I get to second day?
Yeah, second day, man. Yeah, and then I lost on points. It was like 6-4, 4-2 or something like that. He was a really good guy. Went down early in that match too, which kind of sucked, right? But it's always learning. I probably learned the most from that tournament than any other tournament.
Well, and that makes sense. These are the highest level you've competed against.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's one thing. I'm assuming. Again, I'm new to this, but I'm assuming it's one thing to regularly legit roll with people, and it's another thing to have like a championship or a medal on the line while you're.
Yeah. So training in the gym and competing are two astronomically different things, right? Because there's so many good guys in the gym that can just submit you, pass your guard, whatever. But then if you would go against them in competition, it's entirely different, all right? Then conversely, there's like people who can submit everyone, just do whatever they want to, anyone they want in the training room, but then they just can't put it together on the competition floor, right?
What do you figure? That's head games, or that's?
Yeah, man. Like it's so hard to say whether it's a mental thing. I would bet it's a mental thing. It could be a tactical thing, right? So like in training, you're not caring about points. You're not caring about position. You're just go on, submit them. If I submit them, it'll all be done. Well, it's not that simple, right? Because you get someone who's like a really good tactician and they're good enough to not get submitted, you're gonna lose that match, for sure, right? I've seen a lot of really good guys lose matches that they should have won because they thought that way. One of the ways that it was explained to me, like a lot of guys try to go out with the mentality of I'm going to submit my opponent, and if I don't submit him, I'm going to win by points, and if I don't win by points, I'm going to win by advantage, and then if I don't win by advantage, I win by referee's decision. And that's not the way to do it, right? The way to do it.
Why not?
Because of exactly that, right? I'm going to submit him, right? and you go out for submitting, right? You go and, don't really care about position, right?
Right.
Well, the other person is thinking it like this. They're thinking, I'm going to win the referee's decision. I'm going to be aggressive, and I'm going to go after it. And because I'm winning that, I'm going to win the advantage battle. I'm going to be getting advantages because I'm going to be almost passing the guard, almost getting submissions. And because I'm doing that, I'm going to be gaining position. I'm going to be passing the guard, right? So it's like this negative versus positive way of thinking, right? I'm not getting the submission, so I'm going to do this, right? You're falling back.
Right.
But the other way, it's so forward thinking, right? There's a reason why in points tournaments, the dominant positions are worth points, is because you're gaining that position, right? So and then when I get to mount, when I get the back control, when I get my good look in that spider guard or close guard that I want, then I'm going to submit my opponent, right? Sure. And I think that's the way to do it, right? And that's not to go and say like, okay, like go out there and, if you see an armbar opportunity in the first 30 seconds, don't take it because you got to mount them. No, like you go out there and like, oh man, if you see something, you got to take it, right? But that's because you had that position.
You're in position,
right? You had that position. So it's all about position.
Either they gave it to you just out of laxity or whatever.
Yeah. And that's one of the things about like the people who are like, oh, submission only. Oh, it's submission only. It's like, okay, cool, man. Let me know how that goes out, how it works out for you, right? You just let people take your back, right? Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Because there's going to be that one person who you let pass your guard, and then you're not going to get your guard back.
Yeah.
Right? There's one match. This person was going against Mateus Diniz. And Mateus is Marcel Garcia black belt. Love watching him too. Gamer, super awesome. And he competes a lot, right? Competes a lot IBJJF, right? Very technical, very aggressive. And he was going against this guy who's kind of a little bit more like submission only oriented, right? And he goes against a lot of guys who, okay, I can let him pass my guard, I can get it back and whatever. Mateus passes guard, and there is a very clear moment when you realize that this guy in bottom was like, I cannot get my guard back. And then everything just fell apart. So he was like, I cannot.
You can hear the music change. And
he started doing like, kind of flailing his feet, kind of doing all these things, right? Yeah, so you have to go with the mentality of like, man, there's going to be like someone out there who, if I get swept, I'm not going to get back on top, right? Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I guess part of me being a noob and being a charity blue belt, like Ishmael gave it to me as a joke, right? Part of me doesn't understand how you can lose sight of the fact that no matter what my game plan is, I can get beaten.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
How does your, I mean, are you not, is that like the result of being top dog by a mile in your gym or something? Like,
yeah,
like you get beat on a regular basis.
Oh yeah.
Tapped, whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like how do you forget that a probable outcome is I'm going to lose this? I don't understand.
Yeah.
How are you not like losing on a regular basis, and then just in whatever game plan I've got to keep in mind. I can lose this very quickly.
That's a big problem, right? Of like, and I don't think that person was thinking that, but like, but yeah, I think that's right.
I guess I don't mean it specifically for that, but I mean that's got to be a piece of a lot of head games.
I've seen a lot of people who are the best person in their gym or training room, right? And it's kind of like this God complex because they're able to submit everyone in that room.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, might as well not even try, right? And it's like, man, okay, like, okay, cool. And then they go and they compete against someone who's more athletic, more technical, whatever. And then they have a hard time. And then
somebody that's been losing recently.
Yeah, and then it like rebounds, right? And it's like, and then they go through like this like kind of existential thing, like, oh, well, like you have to rethink things. So you should always be trying to find people who can challenge you and push you, right?
The 5 stages of cross-country.
Yeah. Yeah, Jared Fairbairn is that for me. There was one time where we went up to Brainerd, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I got all these things. I can like practice. I'm gonna do well against Jared, right? And then Jared literally walked through my guard, and I remember Ishmael drove us up, and after the training session, I just kind of sat in the passenger door, leaning out and just the door open and just staring out.
Just to spare it.
I was just like waiting for him to get to the car so he can just drive back home. And I was like, I just want to go in my bed and sit in the dark. And I was like, this is horrible, right? But yeah, there's always people who, right, it's just like, they're so much better than you, right? And that's great. That's fine.
Because you're getting better, but they're getting better.
Yeah, for whatever reason. Because there's so many people who, can't submit me, can't pass my guard, right? And that's all that they can see, right? Mm-hmm. And so then they assume that no one else can, but they don't see the times that Pottebaum and Ethan.
You see Man of Steel, but when you see other Man of Steel, practicing,
and it's
with
like,
Man of Steel,
like this is that's like really tough. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one of my favorite office bits is when Michael tries out for the play, and he's just reciting an entire episode of Law and Order. It's just him. He's playing every part, and they're like, "Thank you, we've seen enough." He's like, "I'm not done yet." It's like, that counts, I guess so.
I don't remember that episode.
It was after the show ended. It was during Andy's play. It was Andy's play. And then in the 7th season, I think. And it's like after, I don't want to say after the credits, but like kind of right before the credits.
So since Marcus brought it up too, by the way, earlier on the conversation, just to fill you in, Matt. So when he said his whole family dance, he didn't quite give it justice.
I kind of assumed there was a deeper thing there.
What was your grandma?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Tell me about your grandma.
So, Polly has a... Yeah.
Why
no,
not,
it's okay.
man?
Yeah, Polly...
All right, I'll back up.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Polly just asked, I didn't do the dance conversation justice earlier on, and that the connection to my grandma. Polly actually has a connection to my grandparents. It was a small world. Because when we started training together, you had no clue. And then I think he asked me, he's like, "Oh, Beddor, you were related to Bill and Bee Beddor, who were my grandparents, and my grandma's passed away 3 years, I think." Yeah. And my grandma and my grandpa were very avid ballroom dancers. And so much so that my grandma's accolades far surpassed my ability to recollect them, but multiple time national champion in her age category, things like that. When I would visit their place out in Lake Minnetonka, their big house had a ballroom studio in it, and then there were just all these trophies and all that. So, and I remember at her funeral they played like this clip and all these accolades, and I was like, what?
If I remember correctly, wasn't she a rockette?
Probably. That sounds about right.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. That she was a
your
rockette.
grandmother was a rockette.
Maybe. I don't know. You could ask my dad. My dad would for sure know.
He's not here. You can ask him. Let me know.
Well, yeah, I'll ask him, then I'll message you, and then
pretty cool.
we'll just edit this.
I barely know what that means, but it's still pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
man. Like I said, the accolades that she had, man, I'd be hard pressed to surpass them in my jiu-jitsu career.
Frame my next question. So do you think what you've accomplished thus far?
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
No way.
How many times have you competed in jiu-jitsu?
That's a lot, man.
25.
More, way more.
That's
way
like
more
2
than
years,
that.
probably, huh?
Man, so we had this attitude when I started competing that you're going to compete and get as much mat time as physically possible, right? Especially competing in the Midwest, even 5, 6, 7 years ago, where there was not a whole lot of opportunities to compete in the Midwest, right? on the coast, you can compete every week, right? If you really wanted to. But like Midwest, especially Minnesota, you know, and I'm so grateful for like all the people who like put on tournaments, you know, when I was like a white, blue, even purple belt in the Midwest. But yeah, like there'd be like one tournament every 3-4 months, maybe. There'd be like kind of seasons, so maybe they'd group like kind of like 3 together in like 2 months or so, right? But
it's kind of the plight of the obscure sport fanatic, where like I'm really into it, but overall not a lot of people are, so it's not as accessible as I'd want it to be.
Yeah,
until it becomes popular.
Yeah, and there's no like league, right? So it's not like the IBJJF. So like you'd have to have these gym owners, right? Like Jeremy and Jenny put on a few at Minnesota Top Team, right?
Where's that?
In Egan. I teach there. You should go and visit. January 4th, we reopen. So yeah.
Same as Mtheory, January 4th, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Classes.
Yeah, and like the academy, right? The Minnesota Martial Arts Academy put on
Where's that?
Submission Hunt. That's in Brooklyn Center.
Oh yeah.
And also Eden Prairie.
Eden Prairie. Yeah, that's right.
But they put on like the sub hunt, right? And you know, I'd go and do my division, and then you do the absolute, right? And for a lot of divisions, I was like under 150, right? Is the weight limit. And, you know, it's like a 14, 15-year-old kid.
Is that in kilos? Or?
No.
Oh, okay. Again, I come from a dramatically different background.
Right? Yeah. As like a 14, 15-year-old kid, I was like 125 pounds. So, I was undersized even for that. And right now, I'd like fit that. But, yeah, so it was like really tough for sure. I've never competed in a juvenile or teen or kids division. I've only competed in the adults. Yeah. And that was because it was like only adults.
That's what was available.
Right? Yeah.
Right? You don't want to show up in like the tween division, 125 pound, and just take home
really,
gold
yeah. And I'm really glad because like there were like some adults who like took it to me, right? You know, and like, I don't care if he's a kid, right? He signed the waiver. That's my favorite saying. He signed the waiver. Doesn't matter.
That's a T-shirt slogan.
I said,
he signed the waiver.
I said so many of my students ask me like, hey, so like when you're competing, and you like, let's say you have like an arm bar. And they're not tapping. Like, do you like finish the armbar? I'm like, yeah, he signed the waiver, man. Yeah. If he's not going to tap to an armbar, what's the point of the submission, right?
Yeah. It's a definition of submission.
I got you now.
It's position before submission, but it's also the definition of submission.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna break.
Yeah. I mean, you always give someone a time to tap, but man, like especially when I was like younger, guys don't want to tap to a undersized 14, 15-year-old, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, so I popped a lot of like elbows, right? Elbows were probably the most common one. I was a blue belt, late blue belt, when I put someone unconscious for the first time.
Tell me about it.
That's a different feeling. Yeah, that's different, man. That's so much different.
How'd you do it?
Baseball choke.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a time period. Justin Common, who is one of Ishmael's black belts. He teaches up at Prodigy Martial Arts, which is in Blaine.
There we
go visit them. They're cool guys up there. A lot of my like mentors up there. So like Tao, Mike Nimlos, Justin, Jaffe, right? All of them are teaching up there.
Dangerous, man.
Yeah, man. Awesome guys that I grew up with basically, right, in the gym. But Justin taught me the baseball bat choke, and I went through a giant period of time where I was hitting that. I put a lot of people unconscious in the gym, not because I was like, I'm gonna put you unconscious, but like it's just a joke that it gets so tight, right? And then people are like, I shouldn't have your back and like be getting choked, and then they go unconscious, right? So that's the choke.
Talk me through the baseball choke.
Yeah, so
just in case one of our 3 listeners isn't totally clear on the details.
So at the time, like I was doing it from like bottom guard a lot. Yeah, like bottom half guard, right? And you basically get a choke like you're holding a baseball bat, right? So, and then
on their throat. I hold
on their
throat
neck,
like a baseball bat.
Yeah, you hold the collars.
Okay, there
like
we
a
go.
baseball bat, right?
I'm testing your coaching medal here. Let's hear
all
the
description.
You can't show me. You have to just put it in words.
The description.
It's a good test of good coach, right?
Yeah. So one hand is supine and one's pronate,
right?
Like you're holding.
Now you lost your audience. It's a bunch of white belts that didn't study kinesiology, so they're gone.
Right. You hold it like you're holding a baseball bat, right? And then you get your hands together as close as you can. And now the way that I was doing it which I do not like to do anymore because it gives up position or could. But I was doing at the time is like, they start to pass your guard, and then you turn really hard. You turn away, right? Like you're swinging the baseball bat. And it gets super tight, super quick. But because you're turning away, they start to take your back. And so then when they start to take your back.
So now pause. My only exposure to the baseball choke is I have mounted you.
Yeah, or that, yeah.
You are talking, you've got them in your closed guard.
No.
Okay.
You are mounted me, and I have the baseball choke locked in. So a lot of people get put unconscious because they're like, I'm in the
dominant position.
I have dominant position, whether it's mount or back control.
Right.
And then they start snoring, right? Because, So I put a lot of people unconscious. And then it's great because, like, when you have them unconscious on your back, it's like you're throwing a sack over your shoulder because there's just.
So you're hitting baseball chokes from not great positions.
Yeah, at the time, because it was just like, I'm just going to submit you with the baseball. And then there are like a few tips and tricks that I did that like made it even sneakier. Mm-hmm. But right now, like, I'll hit it every once in a while on like a white or blue belt or something. But like, I don't want to give them any opportunity for that to fail and then like they have my guard passed, right? So I'll do it on top, which is a lot safer, right? But it doesn't put people unconscious nearly as much.
My exposure to it, just the initial teaching of it, is you were mounted.
I think it's the safer option, but so I went through a big time period where I did that a lot in competition. I actually stopped doing it because I choked someone in competition so hard with it I hurt my hand.
Yeah, you don't want to hurt yourself. The idea is to hurt the other guy.
And then I stopped doing it really, but that's still.
Did you say you put somebody out in the gym with it?
I put a lot of people out in the gym with it.
Why would you do that, Marcus?
Well, I didn't try to.
Yeah, they just don't tap fast and you're sinking it in.
Yeah. The responses.
Do you remember who it was?
I remember almost everyone who it was.
Should we do it?
There's multiple people. No.
Okay.
Because some of them still train, some of them don't.
Yeah.
But I remember the responses. I remember Ishmael was standing right above one of the people who I put unconscious, and then Ishmael like came over and like started like waking him up, and then he was like, Anthony, do you know where you are? Oh shit!
It doesn't really sound like him. Do it again.
You can bleep that out, right? He's like, do you know where you are right now? Yeah. Right? And he was like, I'm here.
I'm here.
Right?
Not wrong.
Someone else I put unconscious and I woke them back up. And then he said, did I win?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man.
Looking real good there, buddy.
A lot of people are like, did I just go unconscious? And I'm like, oh, yeah, you did, right? And they're like, oh, it's trippy, man. So, yeah.
It's a weird sensation to be close to
I've never been put unconscious in jiu-jitsu.
Well, like I said, I forget where I said it. I think you commented on it online the other day. I've never lost a jiu-jitsu match, technically. I certainly haven't been.
Say that.
I certainly haven't been put to sleep, but I personally haven't lost a match.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't.
Yeah.
You haven't.
You commented on me. Saying that
Statistically,
I hadn't technically lost a match.
Neither has Bernie Sanders. He's undefeated in jiu-jitsu as well. You might want to dig into that a little bit. You do never know. Yeah, in your weight class.
He's 150 years old, so like you don't know where he lived.
Oh yeah,
in the day. You never know.
He might have wrestled Abraham Lincoln or something. Who knows?
Or Haleo.
But I put a lot of people in contrast with that. It was weird though. I remember it was a baseball bat choke. It was a blue belt. He was a bigger dude too. I think it was an absolute. And I put a few different people unconscious with it in competition. I put one person unconscious with a guillotine in Chicago. That was pretty cool because I was in like 12 seconds.
12 seconds into the match.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, but I popped quite a few ankles with like toe holds, knee bars. The worst break I ever did to someone. There was one tournament where I was really into triangle. So I set up a triangle, and then you get the Kimura from the arm that's on the inside of the triangle.
Naturally.
And I was catching like a bunch of different people with this at this tournament. And by a bunch, I mean like two.
More than
like
me,
two or three, whatever. And I think like the second guy I went against, it's not like I did the Kimura hard, right? But he must have never drank a glass of milk in his life, because from the halfway point of his forearm all the way up to his shoulder, I could feel it just start to celery crunch. That's the best way I can describe it, right? Because like popping an elbow is different. Popping an elbow, it's kind of like, right? It's like one pop, right? Maybe like a couple, right? But like one of those more complex joints, right? Like the rotation, a knee,
several
ankle.
Structures gave on this.
Yeah, like the ball and socket, right? Like everything just started going. And he yelped, so that's a verbal submission. So I let go, right? And his arm's just flopping there. And then the referee was like, "Are you okay, my friend?" Right? And I was like, "Are you okay?" Right?
Don't cross that guy.
And he was just silent. He was just in shock, right? It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy, right?
So yelp is a verbal submission.
Yeah, because I had him. Yeah, because I had him in a submission. Yeah.
Sure. I'm going to have to put that in my repertoire. I just shout in pain and they'll leave me alone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ow.
Jeez.
Whoa. But yeah, that's probably the worst one. I've had my...
What about receiving end?
I've had my knees popped a few times, like in competition.
Tell me what you mean by pop.
Like in a heel hook or whatever. Oh, I had my ankle just completely blown out one time, but I didn't tap to that. Let's see, that was pretty bad. I didn't tap to that.
Why not?
Actually, because Ishmael told me a story of when he was competing and he got his ankle popped. He got his ankle caught in a straight ankle lock, and he got it completely dislocated. And then according to him, he stood back up and like popped it back into place, and then took the guy's back and like choked him out, right? So at this tournament,
honestly, I believe him.
Yeah, I do too,
this
right?
Is not the best fish,
and when I was a blue belt, I was going against this really good blue belt. He's a brown belt now, Damien Arande, and he caught me at a straight ankle lock, and that it was super tight, and that story played through my head when he was caught me, and I was like, well, I'm gonna make a personal decision now, and I'm not gonna tap. And they said that heard like popcorn popping on the sidelines, right? I was just going, and I didn't tap. I got out of it, but then he took my back and then choked me. So a little different ending to Ishmael's story.
I can cut this out, and we'll leave it as a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
you can forever just tell a better story.
Yeah,
than
so that one was pretty brutal. I've had my knees pop from like heel hooks and stuff. So, years down the line when they look at it, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, like what happened to your knees?" I was like, I don't know. Don't tap, bro. Leg locks don't work. Right? But I tapped to those probably. I had my nose broken in training. I've had my elbows popped in competition for sure. I try not to let my elbows pop in training. Although a couple days ago, someone did pop my elbow in training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like arm bar kind of thing?
Yeah, arm bar. Yeah.
You never know, man. Weird
but
position.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you definitely want to be able to drive home.
Yeah. True self-defense. True self-defense, right? According to Pedro Sauer, you're able to put the key in your door when you get home and walk inside.
I've joked that I'm going to write a self-defense book, and it's 95% be big and scary looking.
Be big or scary. Then part 2 is just a running manual.
Like you're big and scary, so your cardio sucks, but use all you got at that point.
Yeah, that's what you be a really good runner or just be really big and strong.
Be a bad target for victimization.
Yeah, don't look like me. Be like, oh, guys, did you see the Harry Potter spinoff?
My earliest memory of you, Marcus, is actually April 6th, 2019. And I remember that because
very specific.
Isn't it sort of weird sounding? But I remember it
disconcerting
because my first legit paid jiu-jitsu class was April 1st, 2019.
Oh yeah.
Which is not a coincidence. April Fool's Day on purpose, just in case I decided to be a wimp and quit, and I could say it was
very good, very smart.
It's reasonable likelihood of that too.
Yeah.
But April 6th was that seminar with Jared and 4 black belts were granted: Corey and Enrique and Zach and John.
Yeah, when I got my brown. Okay.
And I remember they were just kind of laissez-faire seminar approach, and they're like, any questions on that?
Yeah.
Right. And off over Ishmael's right shoulder is this like little pale nerdy kid with Coke bottle glasses, like raising his hand, and Ishmael is legitimately just looking over and just completely ignoring any questions. Anybody?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, what's the deal with that guy?
Yeah. I remember the exact question I had.
Let's do it.
So I have a very specific.
It was in a language I didn't understand at the time.
And probably you probably still won't understand it.
To be honest,
yeah. I remember. I don't normally have a lot of questions during those seminars, not because I don't have questions, but because I want other people to ask questions, right? But this one, I was like, man, I have this question. Happens a lot. I have a very specific monoplata setup I do from top side control.
Very specific. Say that again.
Monoplata.
Tell me what that is.
Elbow lock.
I mean, I know what it is, but I want our listeners to be clear on what we're talking about.
Is a very powerful elbow lock that Jared Fairbairn is super good at, right? Very good at. Even compared to like all of his other techniques, very good at it.
Please say firebender.
When Jared Firebender. Yeah. And so I asked him, and it's so funny because I asked him the question. I went through it. I knew everyone was like, what is he talking? I was like, this is not about you. This is about me. I want this answer, right? And Jared was just like, yeah. I don't know.
I remember that. That's
and I was like, God. I was like, oh, gosh, dang it.
Great question, man. Great question.
I also like my Jared impression.
Yeah, that was actually.
Yeah, man. That's crazy, man. Yeah.
You did great.
Yeah, I love that, man. But yeah, like I asked it, and eventually he did give me like an answer that I was satisfied with. And I still use it today. I still use that technique today. It was basically just like stand up and get out of there, right? It's funny because Rafa Mendes.
It's like the man balls was hot guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Derek Brunson. Yeah.
Don't say his name. Just call him my balls was hot guy.
Well, people need to know. Go on his
say
Instagram.
It again. What's his name?
Derek Brunson.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Oh, Derek Lewis. Oh, Derek Brunson is another different MMA fighter. That's a different guy. Derek Lewis. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Derek Lewis.
Derek Brunson is another fighter. He's a real fighter, so at least
for sure.
I confabulated that accurately.
You did what to it?
Confabulate.
Yeah.
But go on Derek Lewis's Instagram. It's very good. Very good. But Rafa Mendes kind of gave like a very similar like train of thought on like, someone asked him at a seminar like at Mtheory like, hey, like when I berimbolo, I always get toe held. How do you like defend the toe hold when you berimbolo someone? And Rafa goes, I don't tap the toe holds. Next question. And then everyone was like, ah. And then like he answered a few more questions, and then he was like, this guy's like a father of 3, like middle-aged guy.
Yes.
I should probably like give him a better answer than like, oh, just don't tap, bro.
We're not all on the world
right?
circuit.
Yeah. And so then he like gave him like an actual like answer. Right, but it was so funny, right? Yeah, Rafa Mendes. It
is a good answer though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just don't get your guard pass. I was teaching a private today, and it's like, yeah, man. Like the dad joke of jiu-jitsu instructors is like, oh, how do I get out of like bottom side control? It's like, just don't get your guard passed. It's like, okay. And then like all the students are like rolling their eyes, and all the jiu-jitsu instructors are like slapping their knee. Like, it's a good one. But it was always funny. It will always be funny. It will always be funny to me, especially now that I'm an instructor.
How do you avoid losing in jiu-jitsu? You don't lose.
Yeah.
Thanks, coach.
Yeah. We'll just take him down. Don't pull guard. Oh man. Oh, we could get into that. You got your. Yeah, I'm getting myself into it.
Read the shirt.
Yeah. My hoodie says anti-guard puller club.
Yeah.
Which
I've seen a few people wearing that.
It's like my favorite.
Like Short
hoodie.
Tom, I think, wore one before he moved.
Because it's like it's so ambiguous. It's like, man, do you pull guard? Do you not pull guard? Do you hate people who pull guard? do you pull guard but hate other people who do pull guard? You're right. It's like
Yeah.
just whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
But I think there's like this attitude towards guard pulling in the Midwest
Why the Midwest?
because of the wrestlers.
Fair point.
Wrestlers,
That's where I want you.
fantastic
Get
wrestlers,
down
right?
there.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
But like the people who instruct, right? And they're like, okay, you take the person down, right? Even in competition, right? Like you take the person down. It's like, well, man, yeah, I guess, but like take the person down. And then not only that, that's fine. If you want to do that, absolutely. That's your game plan, right? Perfect. But then they like lambast like other people who pull guard. Like, oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't want to stand and try to take me down, right? It's like, well, yeah, man. Like, it's a competition. It's like a fight, right? So in a fight, you want to try to get to your dominant position. You want to go in the fight, go in the place in the fight where you have an advantage, right?
Yeah, if I'm a good striker, I'm not going to get on the ground with you, ideally.
Exactly, right? It's the same thing, right? So yeah, I've gone against so many. My first like year and a half of competing, I just jumped close guard because I never wrestled. So I was like, I'm just going to get to close guard, right? And then everyone was like, he doesn't want to wrestle, right? Doesn't want to try to take me down. It's like, yeah,
Correct.
you're also like 25 pounds bigger than me, and you've been wrestling since you were 10 years old.
And I'm not good at that, so yes,
Yeah, and I suck
correct.
at it, right? I think this is a hot take here. This is gonna be your first hot take, possibly,
Should
of
we
this
Turn the
podcast.
volume up.
Yeah, I think
Get
that the
gain up
people,
a couple notches.
I think that the people who say, like every time you pull guard, Thor kills a kitten. I think that those people just can't pass good guards. Right. I think that's it, right. Yeah, mic drop.
Yeah.
Right. I think that they, I think that's it. I think they just want to take someone down into top side control, and then there. But if you pull guard and they get like a good guard on you, I think that they just can't do it. Right.
Same
People are-
kind of thing
yeah.
with the berimbolo, right?
What's that?
People
Yeah.
will talk a little shit about the berimbolo.
Yeah, people like to talk shit, about like things they don't understand.
Where'd you get that quote?
That's my quote. That's a Marcus original.
You quoted Ishmael. You quoted Ishmael a
What?
few weeks ago when one of the memes I made about berimbolo, and you said something like Ishmael says, people like to hate what they can't do.
Oh, I think I probably just said that.
Something
I think
like
I'd probably
that.
just like, if I got flack, I would just deflect
definitely
on
good.
Ishmael.
Yeah, right. Well, he's the one over there.
I'm pretty sure I don't remember him saying that. I remember him saying a lot of things.
He does.
I'm sure he'll let me know about it and be like,
Who do we make like the Chuck Norris equivalent memes about? Jared or Ishmael or both?
Well, I'd be scared to make
Like
a meme
there's
about
there's not a
Jared.
chin behind Jared's
Yeah.
beard. There's just another fist.
Also, but
Something
yeah,
like that.
man. Yeah, man.
Paulie never heard that one. That Norris
That's a
joke
good
apparently.
one. I know in jiu-jitsu it's like kind of like Hodger, right? Like Hodger.
Yeah,
is
it's
like
not an
the-
issue of who's like better at jiu-jitsu. It's
yeah.
who has the more sort
Which-
of like unsettling legend.
Yeah. For all those of you wondering though, Hodger is the GOAT for sure. Hodger Gracie is the GOAT
Is
in
that another
jiu-jitsu.
mic drop?
I mean, I'll always mic drop with it, but I think that's
Please
also
don't.
like pretty.
These aren't
well
the
understood.
Most expensive mics, but
Yeah.
they're okay.
Well, I also
please
can't
don't
drop it, so I might just
yeah.
hit it.
Yeah, don't do
Yeah.
that.
Before you do the Ishmael, you're wrong, dude.
No way, dude. No way. Yeah. No. Yeah. Hodger's the go. Ever since he submitted Bushesha.
Well, I was just gonna say. So I've watched a little bit of jiu-jitsu. Again, I'm new to it all. I don't know a whole lot, but I'm a heavyweight dude.
Yeah.
So my interest is who are the big guys out
Yeah,
there?
man.
It's kind of how it works, the most
Yeah,
relatable
yeah.
thing. And that match between Bushesha and Hodger,
awesome.
which is like 12 minutes of presumably nothing, like the untrained
Yeah.
eye doesn't see anything,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, 12,
Yeah.
how long it is. To me, that's like the measure of excellence versus excellence. It's not going to be
Yeah.
entertaining. There's not going to be any flash because both these guys know
But man.
give an inch and lose a mile.
But, yeah. But those first 12 minutes were like on the feet, right?
right.
The
Without a grip, hardly. Even,
yeah. The moment it hit the ground,
Right.
it was over in less than a minute.
Right. Once they started actually grappling,
Bushesha
done.
had lost once in the last twice in the last 7 years or something like that.
Yeah, not a lot.
It would literally be the equivalent of that Michael Jordan and LeBron James, like kind of. It'd be like, oh man, not only does
Kinda
Michael
old guard and new guard.
literally the exact same, right? Not only does Michael Jordan come back and beat LeBron, he what is it called? Posterizes, whatever. Just dunks over his head. I don't know. I don't do basketball.
Sports.
I watch basketball. I love watching it, but yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I don't
and
know
it is
about
also something of like credit to the like athleticism isn't always the golden spear kind of, because Bouchesse is an athletic machine.
Yeah,
right?
I cannot wait for his MMA debut. He's
close, right?
Yeah, it's coming up. I don't know exactly when, but he's going against some Senegalese wrestler.
Yeah,
who
the
just
fact that I saw something about
Oh
it,
man.
yeah, the fact that I saw something about it being like totally a filthy
Yeah.
casual fight fan means it's got to be close.
Yeah, and that guy he's going against. I don't know his name. I forget it, but that guy looks like an amazing athlete. And yeah, it could be tough. You know, that's the thing with MMA. You never know
Yeah.
what's gonna happen,
For sure.
right? You know, I'm not there with Bouchesha, and I'm not there with the other guy, so I can't compare them.
Anybody coming in with like in a quote unquote art or like a fighting style that
Yeah.
you're not totally familiar with and you can't really pronounce, that's got to make you a little nervous.
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
secret is happening out
Yeah,
there?
I definitely want Bouchesha to win. I think he will win, right? Because for sure he's gonna be training with really good training partners, and I don't know
Just a matter of access to
access, and he also was like a superior athlete. It's not like, you know, someone off the street is going against that guy, right? And sure as you know, big muscles, lots of oxygen, right? So yeah, you know, you gotta
oxygen, huh? That's
you
not
got-
the word
what
I
is
was
that?
expecting.
you gotta get a lot of oxygen to those
These
muscles,
really,
right?
yeah, really good
In lay people's
access
terms.
to the best supplements.
Yeah,
Like anybody that's good at anything, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, he's a scary dude, right? Especially like when he's in his like wrestling get up, right? It's not like a singlet. It's like tribal.
Yeah, like he does.
Jamie, look that. Polly, look that up.
You know, it's young Polly. That's young Polly over there. Yeah, young Polly. Look up how terrifying a competitor in a fight sport match looks when he's wearing a costume, not a uniform. Like
It's-
Papa Shango from '90s WWF.
Yeah, man. You should, if you ever do a match, you should wear what this guy's wearing.
They're
Actually, next time you do
ludicrously
no-gi.
hypothetical no-gi.
Yeah.
Twice. I've been to a no-gi class like twice. Just
You don't even
just
have to
as a
do it.
matter of like
You don't have to do it.
availability.
You just have to. You just have to.
Yeah.
Is
It looks like he's in a rugby haka.
Yeah,
you know what I
man.
mean? Like
It's
they brought
like
him
a-
in special for the haka.
yeah,
before
it's
the
like
match.
man, that's awesome. He's got like
What's his name, Paulie? The guy fight. Well, give it a shot. I'll put it on air here. The guy fighting Bouchesha in Bouchesha's. Is it his MMA?
yeah, it's his
debut?
MMA debut. Yeah,
Young Paulie. Don't.
he's not listening to this, so don't worry.
Just gonna go with Kane. That's impossible.
Kane.
Kane.
His last name's Kane.
Kane.
Your boy is brutal looking. Say it again.
Umar Root Kane.
That's
Umar
exactly it.
Root Kane.
Can I spell it?
If you say it fast, it sounds authentic. I bet.
Umar is Oumar. I believe Rug is his.
Rug, like with G's.
Yeah.
Umar
That's
Rug
his
Kane.
nickname, so it's in quotation.
Yeah.
It's Reug. Reug.
It's like Marcus the kid from Christmas Carol Beddor. It's Omar Rug Kane. Is that what it is?
Kane,
Yeah.
Kane.
I did have blonde hair as a kid.
that makes
Yeah,
sense, yeah.
I had really blonde hair, like as blonde as that kid.
Me too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The Dirt Bike Kid. Is that a movie?
IMDb that in mic drop.
Yeah, I would be that.
Like, is it like Rad? Remember Rad?
That is cool. I have Rad on our DVR right now.
Yeah. I ordered the DVD copy of the movie Over the Top before it was in print. like through Amazon.
Wow.
Probably back in the day, you could order stuff like, it's apparently being negotiated. So I ordered over the top, which is the only reason. Say that again.
Did Bull Hartley deliver it to you?
No, but he's in my heart. So, but it's the only reason I can relate to the elbow pop with like arm bars and stuff is at arm wrestling tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't know that I saw any of the elbows go, but I heard them from across the bar where the competition was. Same kind of
That's
thing.
like a baseball bat.
Yeah, arm wrestling is like,
That's terrifying.
it's like localized grappling, like just this, right? And it is the same sort of some of those same injuries, just joints going, yeah, we're all done.
I watched like 15 minutes of like an arm wrestler explaining it, and I was like, all right, that was enough for me to get an appreciation for this, right?
Yeah.
Like kind of understand like this goes way more than just like, right? Like, yeah, there's so much more into it. I love watching people, no matter what area of like discipline it is, the best guys explaining it, right? I love it. I love listening to how they explain it, and I love listening to actually the actual content. I love there's this kind of mini series on YouTube, I guess, like a couple of videos, like kind of 20 minutes long or so, like this guy breaking down movie accents, right? And like things like that, right? And then he explains different words and sounds, and they're like, oh, this person's accent is really good, this is why. This person's accent is really bad, this is why. Like things like that. I love it.
Explain like what's physically happening with their tongue position, and
like
stuff.
the fake languages too, right?
Yeah,
like the
there's like Aboriginals and Native folks.
Yeah, or the Slytherin snake language in Harry Potter, right? And he's like, it's all like S's and hisses, right? There's no hard sounds because snakes don't do that, right? Snakes can't phonetically like make that sound, right? So it's all like very soft, very like wispy type talking. And I was like, I like sat down. I was probably sitting down, but I think I stood up to sit back down. I was like, oh my God. Wow.
Mind-blowing realization.
Yeah.
So a question from our friend Paulie over there, young Paulie, we'll call him, is what do you personally, an absolute noob of a black belt? You're 1 year eligible to rent a car. Okay.
No, not
what,
even.
what if you were to say one or the other, and then extrapolate if you want? Is it better that I'm a jack of all trades? I can kind of play multiple games. I've got a handful of chokes and submissions and stuff in my arsenal, or is it better for me to be just purely clean execution expert on few things, arguably even just a handful?
Yeah. So what's that old saying, right? Like, I don't fear the man who knows 1,000 techniques. I fear the man who knows one, or like who's not like okay at like 1,000, but he's like an expert at one, or something like that, right? I'm pretty sure that's like Bruce Lee who said that.
That sounds right.
Yeah, exactly like that.
It'd be
too.
like water.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like along those lines, I would want to be the best I could possibly be in one area, right? One of the favorite ways that we like to kind of train, like what like Ishmael will do is he'll give me like a submission or something, right? And that's the only submission I'm allowed to do that week, right? So it'd be like, there's one time where he was like, okay, you can only armbar from top mount. And then the next week it was, okay, you can only armbar on the right arm from top mount. And then the next week it was, okay, left arm armbar from top mount. And then it was omoplata from top mount the week after. And so for like a whole month, it was only like top mount submissions, mostly arm bars, right? So yeah, really good at like those kind of submissions, right? So yeah, I would say like find like one thing and just get really good at it, right?
I feel like just by virtue of getting to that one thing from a mile away, sometimes probably like it's going to take you a long time to get into position to even give it a shot at this point. It's not what you would normally do in that situation, but I got to find my way. Yeah. By virtue of that, you're probably getting really good.
Now
at
here's
a lot
the
of
thing.
other
Yeah.
things.
So like a lot of people are like, man, like how do I like find like the thing that I'm really good at, right? I think that you should start by kind of noticing what you're really comfortable with.
Mount.
And the
I'm 300
positions,
pounds, so I'm good in mount, and that's the only thing.
Find ways to get to mount, right?
Okay.
And it's like,
same with Polly over there.
yeah, and it's like, take notice of where you kind of naturally end up in your roles, right?
Sure.
And then you'd be like, okay, well, I'm naturally ending up here, so I theoretically am like comfortable here if I'm here all the time. So
just by virtue of repetition.
Yeah, now I'm going to work on whatever I can from working here, right? I just end up in half guard all the time.
Yeah.
You should probably work from half guard.
Actually, for me personally, and maybe X number of people listening to this can relate, that actually happens to also be mount. I tend to be mounted.
Yeah.
I either end up
in
in mount or being mounted.
Yeah. But we're comfortable with, right?
I'm pretty comfortable down there.
Oh man, they're not doing mount right then. Man, you need more like elbows in the eye and things like that, right?
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like find a spot, find a guard pass that you're like comfortable with, a dominant position that you really like, comfortable with, and then start to work from there. So even if you're terrible at it, like, man, I find myself here all the time, but I'm horrible at it. People get my guard passed. Or people pass my guard, or like people get out of my back control, but like I get there all the time. That's the thing that you should work on, right? You shouldn't be like, man, I find myself in half guard all the time, but like I really want to get good at spider guard. Yeah. That should be later.
You're not even going to get the reps. It just doesn't land there.
Yeah, and I think like you should focus on techniques that you are like excited about / want to learn, right? So even now, like when I'm preparing for a tournament, if I find myself kind of training certain techniques, right? I have like my A game, right? That I really like to do. But if like, 3-4 weeks, I've just been doing, straight ankle locks, scissor sweep, whatever. I'm going to go into that tournament. Oh man, yeah, I've been doing this. So let's just keep the ball rolling, right? This is what I was working on, right? I'm going to find so much more success doing that than like, okay, well now I have to like pause and go back to like my quote unquote A game.
My game,
right?
yeah.
And I can always fall back on that, but yeah.
Sure.
So, and then I think that people should, if you're training, you should be proficient in 3 solid submissions: armbar, triangle, and some kind of choke from the back. And by that I mean like if you have been training for a little bit and someone new walks in the door, right, and you get their back, you should be able to choke them, right? If someone like sticks their arm out, you should be able to finish an armbar. That doesn't mean that you should be able to armbar everyone in the room, but you should be able to be proficient with it, right?
There's 3 key things that when the opportunity presents itself, you should find action.
Yeah. Some submissions that are have very good synergy, right? That are from the bottom, so your guard game is offensive, and then if you're on top, passing the guard, mount, force them to turn away, get the back, choke. Hicks and Gracie, classic game plan.
Stick to the basics.
Absolute basics, right? Something that I do all the time, right? Okay, like take their back, choke them, right? And then you can have like your other kind of shtick, your baseball bat choke, your straight ankle lock, right? They're like, man, I'm like the best in the room with this, right? At this point, like I've kind of gone through that exciting period, of like different techniques, like enough like I feel very confident with a lot of different techniques, right? So if someone were to say like, hey, play like a half guard game, I'd be like, okay, right now I don't really like to, but like I can, right? And I'm like very confident. They're like, hey, play like a spider guard, like play like a lasso game. I'd be like, okay, because I already went through kind of that, like, I want to play lasso. I'm going to come into the gym and I'm going to lasso everyone, right? Yeah. But like right now I might be like, man, I'm a closed guard guy. Mtheory. Yeah.
What'd you say?
You say Mtheory? Jeff Martin. Yeah, Jeff Martin. Shout out Jeff Martin. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you one more question.
Yeah.
And then we'll be done.
Oh, sad.
We don't have to be.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to be like a podcaster and like
the first bonus for Patreon subscribers.
So this will be easy to do because, like I said, Ishmael gave me a blue belt as a joke. Okay, isn't that sad?
Yeah, he did.
I hacked into the email and I found the email that said it. Yeah. Pretend I'm a white belt. Give me like either your elevator pitch advice as a black belt, as someone who teaches classes, teaches a lot of white belts. What should I be thinking about or learning or trying to focus on?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you my analogy that I like.
I like it.
So when you're a white belt, right, you're learning a new language, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So you gotta learn words. So when you're a white belt and you come in, you just have to be a sponge.
Oh,
right?
Rigoshi.
Yeah.
The hell
Yeah.
is that,
What is
bro?
that?
What
Yeah.
is
I'm
that
gonna do
even
it, right? And you're gonna try it. You're gonna suck at it. That's okay. You know. Oh, armbar. Oh, that's another word, right? And then when you're a blue belt, you start to speak sentences. So you start to put those moves together. Oh,
So is this is your elevator pitch to a blue belt? Me as a fake blue belt.
Yeah.
Like, so take the vocab list you've got and start forming sentences.
Yeah.
Okay?
So now you start to like kind of put things together, right? And just like different words and different sentence structures, they can be more complex, simple, right? They're still sentences. So a berimbolo to a crab ride to a leg drag to an Ezekiel choke, a pretty complex sentence.
Yeah. A lot of commas.
But closed guard, scissor sweep to mount, that's pretty simple.
Especially
right?
at 300 pounds. Let's go.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Stand up and just knock them over. Perfect.
So
You're on
then-
top.
So,
It's great.
So then our friend Young Paulie over there is a purple belt.
Yeah. So now you're starting to
What?
do like paragraphs, right?
Now you're going paragraphs.
Now
I
you're
like
starting
this.
to put sentences together.
No, you've put sentences together. You're stringing sentences together
Yeah.
to each other now.
Yeah. And now you're making like
This is a really good analogy.
thesis, right?
I'm really
yeah, you're
happy
making
with
like
it. Yeah.
paragraphs,
chapter books.
right?
You got chapter 1.
paragraphs / essays. Well, not quite chapter books, right?
Okay.
Paragraphs
sorry.
/ essays. So you could have like theses, right? So you're a purple belt. Man, I love straight ankle lock. Everything is about the straight ankle lock. Everything goes back to the straight ankle lock. Everything goes back to your theses, right?
You start developing like the storyboard of a storyline arc.
Yeah.
The story's going to come back to this, right? Nobody sees it yet. But it's
Yeah.
gonna come back to
And
this.
then, when you're brown belt, right? Well, now you're making novels, right? So you got running themes, you got all these different techniques, all these different characters, and like you can really just, string it all together, and it's fantastic, right? Dostoevsky, right? And when you're black belt, you're writing poetry.
Hold on. I'm going to have you pause for
Yeah.
1 second. So I was planning on replying to your black belt level thing, just sticking with the metaphor and being like, man, I'm disappointed you said now you're building an anthology. I was hoping you'd go back to just simple like poetry.
It's poetry, man.
Yeah, you go
poetry.
back to the simple, back to the basics,
Yeah.
and just start rearranging it in a slicker way. kind of
Yeah,
thing.
but like, you have words, but your understanding of the words, you can start bending them to something that means completely different, right? And your understanding of the language and your understanding of the words, you can bend it to your will, right? Or theoretically, right? But as I've started to teach and do privates, there's kind of something like kind of before all that, right? Because I can give you a private lesson and teach you a bunch of words. You're going to struggle to remember those words, right? So before we start learning words, we got to learn what language we're learning, right? Because if I just throw a bunch of words at you and you try to remember them all, it's like trying to remember different words from Russian, English, Spanish, Japanese, and then like you try to string them all together and they're like, this can kind of make sense, but this is weird, right? There's like the mortar in between the bricks that it's just something's missing, right? I can put these bricks together, but it falls apart, right? So what I've been doing is like, okay, I start to teach these, just different concepts to white belts. So if I took like a day one white belt, which I do a lot, like a lot of these guys I give privates to, they're just like, I don't do jiu-jitsu, right? I can teach them how to like sweep and how to pass a guard and grip fight without ever showing them a move. There's all these concepts. It's like, hey, you're learning English now, right? And he's like, oh, okay. And then when you go to learn the words, oh, these moves make sense because I know these underlying concepts. And so then, everything becomes so much easier, right? So then your understanding of the words, of the sentences, all that becomes so much easier. And you learn so much faster because you understand what language you're actually speaking, right? So if you understand like, hey, if you want to move something, you got to make it light, right? So if I want to pass your guard and I got to move my feet, I have to put weight into you, right? If I can take my head, right, and put it off center, right? You as the guard player, you want to keep my head in between your feet and your knees, right? If I can start to bring my head off to the side, now I have that angle, right? And then I can start to pass the guard, right? Misdirection, create a rhythm. There's so many different concepts, right? And I have not like created the concepts, right? The best artists steal, right? That's the thing, right? So I take all these things that other phenomenal, great black belts who are way better than me, and then I listen to them and, make it not my own, but make sure that I can verbalize it in a way that I can understand it and my students can understand it, right? Best artist steal. I like that one. Yeah.
Cool.
That could be the title of your episode.
Thank you, Marcus.
Or okay, guys. Yeah. Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks for having me.
This was cool.
It was fun. Yeah.
This is not a starter car. This is a finisher car. Be gone with you, vile man. Be gone.